What's up, fragrance family? Tommy with Studio Sense here. Hope you're staying safe and warm out there. I don't know where you guys are while you're watching me, but I'm here in the eastern part of the US where it's like super cold now. And so it's the perfect opportunity or time to bust out those spicy gourmand fragrances, because that's, yes, what we're gonna be talking about again today. We talked about it just the other day, gourmand fragrances, and I told you guys that you smell good enough to eat story. Well, these 10 fragrances are guaranteed to have you smelling good enough to eat, but they're gonna be super affordable, very inexpensive. So we've got 10 of the best quality, affordable gourmand fragrances coming up right after this. Welcome back, everyone. So today's subject is 10 quality, affordable gourmand fragrances that will have you smelling good enough to eat. These are some of the best, most affordable, curated fragrances in the gourmand genre that you can buy and that you can get right now. So the first fragrance is going to save you money and yet have you smelling edible and delicious is actually one from the clone house Lataffa, or I should say the impression house Lataffa. But they do clone several really popular niche fragrances, and this one is Lataffa Oudain. Oudain is an impression of Alexandria II or Alexandria II from Xerjoff, which is a very popular, spicy, warm, delicious fragrance. Primary focus is orange and saffron in the open. It's got a very caramel, cinnamon sweetness to it, and in the base, amber and vanilla. So it's a very cinnamon, sweet, amber, vanillic kind of fragrance that has that same seductive factor, or a very similar seductive factor, as Alexandria II. And yet you can get this for under 20 bucks from fragrancenet.com, worth every penny that you'll pay, and you'll thank me later. Lataffa Oudain. Next up is a gourmand fragrance that's very inexpensive from Pepe Jeans of London, makes great use of the note of blackcurrant in the open, and it's Celebrate for Him. Along with that blackcurrant, you've got spicy cinnamon, clary sage, some juniper berry, some cocoa in there. It's one of the lesser sweet gourmands. It opens up sweet, though it dries down a bit more masculine and less sweet. So if you're not really a lover of sweet fragrances, but you do want to try a gourmand fragrance, Celebrate for Him by Pepe Jeans is one of the ones that I recommend. And you can get a 100ml bottle for under 25 bucks. Again, worth every penny. There hasn't been a ton of noise from the house of Alfred Dunhill, but when they released Desire Bronze, many people grabbed a hold of it and said, this is a cheapie gem, myself included. Apple, lemon, neroli, bergamot, rose, teakwood, vanilla. A very sweet, seductive fragrance that will put you in mind of the UAE. It has that kind of, while there's no oud in it, it does have that kind of gourmandish, sweet, Middle Eastern flair to it. And that's what makes it very well worth purchasing and wearing. You can get a 100ml bottle of Desire Bronze for under 40 bucks. Next up in our quality, affordable gourmand fragrances is actually one from Azzaro. Unfortunately, it's been discontinued, but I did find a website that you can get it for a pretty good deal. And before you ask, why is it a 75ml bottle? That's the only size that this was produced in. It's in a trio of fragrances called Solarissimo, and this one is Solarissimo Favignana, one of my favorite inexpensive gourmand fragrances. There's a candied lemon note in here that provides a very zesty, vibrant freshness to the scent profile. You've got dark rum, absolute, vanilla, cedar, and just a hint of tobacco that makes this a delicious, seductive fragrance that's perfect for cooler weather. And even as it's a little bit more than when the fragrance first came out, because it is discontinued, you can get it for under 45 bucks, which is very well worth it. Solarissimo Favignana by Azzaro. This next gourmand fragrance to me has a bit of a nostalgic factor to it because it reminds me of a dreamsicle. I don't know if you've ever heard of a dreamsicle or ever had one, or they even exist anymore, but it's kind of like a vanilla ice cream with orange swirls throughout it, like orange sherbet. And this fragrance kind of smells a little bit like that tastes, although there is another in this list that's even closer to that, but the fragrance I'm talking about right now is Lolita Lempicka Green Lover. Yes, the name implies that you're getting a green spring-like fragrance, but that's not at all what you're getting. You're getting a light gourmand fragrance that is lightly sweet and wonderful. Yes, You heard it here. It is a fantastic smelling fragrance. It bears the subtlety of orange, Szechuan pepper, peppermint, juniper, some other notes threaded through the DNA of this that makes this a delicious light gourmand fragrance to wear on pretty much any occasions. It's super versatile, and you can get a 100ml bottle for under 30 bucks. Very well worth it. Lolita Limpica Green Lover. Another fragrance in this list has been discontinued, but it's still available, thankfully, is one by Paco Rabanne, and it's the one that I talked about that's a little bit closer to the dreamsicle, kind of the orange sherbet kind of smell, but it has this praline note in it. Absolutely love, and it is Ultrared Man by Paco Rabanne. It looks like the Logan's Run retro ray gun. It's got blood orange, tonka bean, vanilla, patchouli, and then of course that praline note in it that makes it that foodie, edible, gourmand fragrance. Wonderful gourmand fragrance that it is. And thankfully still, even though it is discontinued, you can get Ultrared Man for under 40 bucks right now. And again, now's the time to get it, because in the not too distant future, I would say, there's not going to be many left to get, and the price will increase. And at 40 bucks, again, just like all of these, it's worth every penny. Another fragrance that shockingly fits under the umbrella of gourmand is one that I really enjoy. I think it's a unique fragrance, even as some out there don't really enjoy it or appreciate it, and that's totally fine. But it's by Philip Plein, and it's No Limits, the credit card sized fragrance, mimicking a credit card that has no limits on it. This fragrance has a lot of unique notes in it. It's basically a dark, chocolatey, leathery, wonderful gourmand. It's got cinnamon, clover, star anise, dark chocolate, leather, and just a bit of oud. It's a little more on the heavier side, so it's perfect for cooler weather on into winter. And that is No Limits by Philip Plein. And you can get 100ml, I don't want to say bottle, you can get 100ml credit cards worth for under 45 bucks. Now, you guys may have noticed that I'm not holding up the bottle while I'm talking about the fragrance. I was doing that, and on this table, it's actually an electronic standing desk that raises up and down. I have the microphone stand on it, and every time I would grab a fragrance, it would make this noise in the microphone. I am going to go ahead and hold this one up because it happens to be the most expensive in this list. I almost didn't include it, but it's such a great light gourmand fragrance, a spicy oriental gourmand. It is Boss Bottled the Eau de Parfum. It's often called Boss Bottle number 6. That's the original EDT, but this is the Eau de Parfum version. It opens with a fruity orange blossom, apple, bergamot, and lemon, so it's very zesty, fruity in the open, but then it immediately warms. It reminds me just a bit of Armani Code Absolute Gold, and so I think in terms of gold, some spices lean towards kind of a goldish, warm, sunny side, like the duo of clove and cinnamon, which are also in here. There's geranium. There's a good bit of olive wood and sandalwood in here as well. It's just a wonderful gourmandish fragrance. You can get a full bottle for under 60 bucks, but you can also get a tester, which will be under 55, I think. And while that is just a little bit more than what I wanted to include in this list, it's still a fantastic fragrance, and I highly recommend it. Boss Bottled EDP. Another quality gourmand fragrance is really inexpensive but extremely wearable. Another one, actually, by Azzaro in the Pour Homme line, and it's Azzaro Pour Homme Hot Pepper. I like that deep purple. You don't see purple a lot in men's fragrance, and this one uses it very well in a pretty cool gradient. When you think of hot pepper, you don't really necessarily associate a smell. Maybe you associate a type of sillage or scent bubble. It's quite voluminous for an inexpensive fragrance. One of my favorites in the sensual blends, they call it, most of which are impossible to find because they've been discontinued, but there is still a good supply of them out there. I say good supply, I really don't know, and that's why I recommend grabbing it up before they're all gone. Azzaro Pour Homme Hot Pepper. The last quality gourmand that's very inexpensive and yet extremely effective is it's a very wonderful smelling coffee-oriented gourmand fragrance. In fact, it's one of the better, very inexpensive coffee gourmands out there. Rochas Man Intense is its name. Don't forget it, because if you don't already own it, this is one that you want to have in your arsenal, especially if you're looking at inexpensive gourmand fragrances that are extremely effective at what they do. This also has a seductive value and factor in it. That combination of vanilla and coffee is just fantastic. in Rochas Man Intense, and I highly recommend because you can get it for under 40 bucks. Now this is the one that was launched in 2023, so it's the newer version. There is an older version, but I recommend the newer because the older is harder to get and it's more expensive. Well guys, that's it for my short list of 10 fragrances that are super quality, smell fantastic, but very inexpensive Gourmand fragrances. And right now is the perfect time to bust out your Gourmand fragrances and add them to your rotation. You're gonna smell good enough to eat, just like I was back in 19, whatever that was that guy said it to me at the Sheraton Hotel as I walked through the door. It was really weird, but it was a cool kind of thing to have happen to you and remember, and you can use it anecdotally later on in life on your YouTube channel. Maybe that'll happen to you and you can use it on your channel in the future. Guys, I really hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Whether you have a family or you're single out there, please stay safe. Thanks so much for your continued support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video review.